It's not, sorry. And a number of our students weren't able to make it, but Elkhorn students, would you please come up here and just stand in the front and face the audience, please, so your parents can take those great pictures. Come on up, Science Olympiad kiddos, my gold team. Thank you. Would you turn and face our board members because they'd love to see your smiling faces too. So, Asha Verk, come on up here. Asha, here you go. Thank you. All right, Daniel, congratulations. Jacob, come on up. And I don't see Zachariah. Abram is not here tonight. Let's see. Ava, mom had an emergency. Ethan, come on up, Ethan. Ethan Fawn, thank you. Indrajit Samra. Rohan Sandhu, Rohan, come on up. Michael Quinn, come on up, Michael. Olivia Lee. And there's Kara in the house. Any other Science Olympiad kiddos from Elkhorn? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. All right, congratulations and thank you for the time.
And just so you're aware, they are the second place winners in the region. But wait, you don't get to leave so soon, students. The board likes to talk with you. So would you come back up and stand? I trumped Mrs. White on that one and making you come back up.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I will start with any board. I have things to say, but I will go to any board member that would like to. Oh, Mr. Knack said.
Way to go, guys. I'd just like to say that this is becoming kind of a habit of seeing the Elkhorn Wildcats up here receiving awards, and you're following a tradition that's been going on a long time, so way to go.
Mr. Heberly, I'm sure you're...
Sure, I'll go. Well, first and foremost, congratulations. It does take a lot of time and a lot of hard work. But just remember, every parent that you saw during competition and all your practices and training, they care about you. They did it for you and all the other kids that were involved in Science Olympiad. My wife has been involved in Science Olympiad for, well,
Forever.
decades. So, of course, whenever your wife is involved in something, so are you. So I was there a lot. Science Olympiad is a phenomenal event. It really expands your ability to learn, and what I love about it is it's not only study events, but it's hands-on building events. So there's something for everybody's interest. And it's not only a great competition, but you should all be very proud of yourself for even doing the team aspect of it and telling yourself, yeah, I'm going to do this. You'll find out as you get older just how important it is, and what you've learned you'll carry with you forever. Congratulations again.
All right.
Any other board members? If not, I will jump in. Congratulations, longtime Science Olympiad coach. It's near and dear to my heart. First of all, turn around and wave to the teachers, because those are the people that you're going to see in your upcoming years. They're all got a raise now. Hey, turn back around. So, get a good look at those teachers, because you will see them as you go through Lodi Unified. One of the things I'd like to say is congratulations on your medals and your second place win. But more importantly, the friendships and the skill set that you acquired. It's fun to get your name called on podium day, but there's hundreds of students that go home and are kind of sick to their stomach because they didn't get what you got. So be aware what you worked for and what you achieved. And if you didn't like where you placed in that event, maybe you got to dig a little deeper or study a little bit more. I think it's important to win, but it's more important to learn. And sometimes we learn a lot more when we don't win. But in this case, you won a lot by winning. So congratulations to you, and thank you to all your coaches, all your parents, all your teachers, the people that brought the food, the people that made the tests for you, that studied. You all know who they are, and all the long hours that you put in, because as a business major in college, I coached for a long time and had never taken, other than high school, like chemistry. And so I felt like I got an additional 18 years of science. And it did help me. I still don't think I could win a medal. So congratulations to all of you. Now you get to go sit down. Or you may exit the building if you so choose.
President McFarland supersedes me, and so now you can sit down. And if you have Science Olympiad supplies you need to store, Mr. Heberly has a garage. He'd be more than happy to share with you at this time.
I haven't had a car.
I'm going to take off my elementary hat and for a second put on the Scott McGregor high school hat.
Wow.
So, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer, I am now here to celebrate two high school teams that represented Lodi Unified School District. We have the Lodi High team as well as Tokay teams here. They took, Lodi High took third place, Tokay took second place in the region, and they participated in the very difficult state competition as well, which I might add was difficult because that was done virtually. So, with that, I would like to invite Principal Adam Auerbach to come on up, and he is going to introduce his team to all of you.
Good evening, Dr. Washer, President McFarland, members of the board. Thank you so much for having us. It's so exciting to hear the future flames that we'll have coming our way, potentially some future Tigers in the Elkhorn team today. We're really excited about how they performed at competition. Here tonight to thank you for recognizing our Science Olympiad team. The first person I want to call up here to give me a hand is our coach, our head coach, Miss Lisa Ng, and Karen Saman Singer. Our coaches seldom get enough recognition, and we have so many that have jumped in and really played second parents, hosts, bus drivers on a daily basis. And granted, these kids are going to get all the credit for the hours and hours, the hundreds of hours they put in, but these parents and coaches here have put in just as many, if not more, in support of our kids. So I want to make sure to thank Rich Osmond-Kowski, Bill Hutchison, Debbie Castile, Mary Ellison, Heidi Plath, Dave Valdez, Chris Alenardo, and Alex Adelar. Thank you so much for all of your support. And you can come on up here. And bring up our Lodi High team as well.
Oh, be the leader. Come on, we got it.
All right. Oh, you guys had this on cue. Look at that. We were all ready to look for the cameras. Okay. Thank you so much, coaches. I'm going to read through our team names. I know we've got a number of our folks here, but we've got some certificates and pins for you guys tonight as well. I'd like to recognize Saleh Salah, Carrie Nickel, Shannon Castile, Kyle Huang, Emilio Orozco, Nyla Hay, Maggie Fugue, Max Lacan, Rowan Valdez, Ava Acevedo, Heidi Ellison, Peace Warren, Claire Grace Plath, Eli Plath, and Matt Gable. This is a prime moment, guys, where you got to make sure when you're looking out that way, it has your name on the side that's facing everyone in front of us. There we go. All right, congratulations, everyone. We're really proud of the work that you've done.
Okay, board, who's up first?
I'll just jump in. Again, same to you, congratulations. Hard work and effort do pay off. I remember a former high school principal in the district asked my wife, who was a teacher in the district, after the team won, and he said, "What in the world is your secret?" And she said, "Hard work. You had hard work. You did what you were supposed to do, and that's why you did so well." So again, congratulations.
I just want to thank you for your participation, going outside the box, trying to do something different, and maybe challenging yourselves in areas you maybe felt a little thin in terms of academically, and then going up and competing. That's the big thing. Anybody can chirp from the bleachers, but you guys got up there and took a swing. And so congratulations for that and your efforts.
I too would like to join my board members in congratulating you. Thank you for coming to our meeting and sharing it with us. This says a lot. We hear a lot of complaints when we're on the board, but seeing you all here reminds us why we do this. So thank you for being a very good role model and influence in our district. Thank you.
And I'd like to round it off. Can you turn around and wave to your teachers, your elementary teachers, and tell them thank you for the foundation? I'm not seeing the hands. Okay, come back around and preschool, and thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Okay, I also would like to thank you for putting yourselves out there. It's pretty hard, and I know your schedules are tight when you get to high school, especially when you get into the upper grades. You're worried about your grades, college apps, and all those kinds of things. And freshmen, it's a natural progression. You did it in middle school, you're going to do it in high school, and then lots of things pull you. So congratulations for staying with it. I'd also like to thank the row of parents and educators down the side. I see a couple of parents that I know don't have children anymore at that school, and they keep coming back. And thank you, because I know I also did it for a couple years without children, and it's kind of a bug, you get it, and it's that continual learning. And we're hoping that that's contagious to you someday when you're an adult and you've graduated and done amazing things when you're back in our area, that you too will coach a Science Olympiad team or become a teacher or give back to your community in some way. So think about all the people that have given to you during your journey, and think of a way you can give back, whether it's helping in a classroom or coaching a Science Olympiad event or just being a good upstanding member of your community. But congratulations to you on your endeavor. And thank you very much, and you can stay or exit the building, whatever works for you.
As the Tokay team begins making their way up here to the front, I can tell you the Tokay team was near and dear to me. My table had lots of water stains, a lot of wood being cut, and that's because I also was able to have my child participate with this Tokay team, and they were an amazing team. They took second place in the region, and here today, Mr. Sandstrom was unable to be here, but Dr. Cox was voluntold she needs to come up and represent this amazing team and share their names with all of you. Dr. Cox.
Thank you very much. Bear with me because I don't like talking in front of people. So this is difficult. One-on-one is much easier. So we don't have a huge group today, but like you mentioned, all of these students are really busy and involved in multiple things. So they're with us in spirit. So we'll go through them. But thank you to the board and the district for supporting Science Olympiad and for continuing to have it run. It makes a huge difference. It gives these kids a great start in their STEM lifetime. Okay. I also want to thank the students because this year we didn't have a whole bunch of coaches, so a lot of these guys had to step up and coach themselves and coach their teammates, and so it was really fantastic to see that part of it. So thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, so I'm going to mention the people even if they're not here. Melissa Para, Kendra Gowdy, Ken Lee, Cody Stoops, Athena Soria, Rebecca Peters, and Andrew Young. Emma Shackelford. Ashley Reagan. Corey Smink. Mattia Amato. And Sean Spencer. Thank you to these guys. They got second. Not only that, they placed 17th in the state, which was fantastic for us.
Good job, guys.
And we even had one team, our anatomy team, which took a 4th place medal at states. So that was awesome. Congratulations.
All right, guys. Now you got to turn around.
I'm not even going to ask Mr. Headley, go ahead.
I have to say, it's nice to see a few familiar faces also. Again, redundant, but worthwhile. Congratulations. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for representing your school and your district and yourselves so well. And of course, please extend my thanks to the coaches for this. There's 23 events, and if you don't have the coaching staff, it just doesn't go anywhere. So you should be all very proud of yourselves, as we are of you, and good things in the future. Thank you for participating.
I love the shirt. Outstanding. Dr. Cox and your husband, is that correct? Thank you for all the work that you did, tireless effort. I know that Mr. Young didn't do anything and maybe had gotten away, but that's okay.
This is correct.
But to the students, it's great to see you participate, as I said, and it's wonderful that you have incredible achievement. But this is something that's going to help you down the road in terms of dealing with other academic classes. The skills that you learned are lifelong, and the competition is great. It makes it fun. So congratulations, and you're a great 17th in the state. That is outstanding. Maybe we as a board can look forward to offering Science Olympiad and Science Bowl.
Don't toy with me, we've
as
been
a
asking for
potential
years.
class as we go through 0 through 7 periods, and maybe get those kids, as Mountain House has, 1 period for working
Yes.
on
Yes,
as
they
a
do.
competition
That would be
team.
wonderful.
So, anyway, I want to thank you, and my political statement in there as well, but good job. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Your instructor mentioned that a lot of times you had to coach yourselves and others on your team, and that's called teamwork. And teamwork equals success, and you've proven that. Nice job, guys. Way to go.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Well, you're giving me that.
Everyone else gets their name. I don't get my name.
Mr. Freitas.
Thank you, President McFarland.
High maintenance.
Being on the school board, we don't have favorites, but I will let you know that my 2 daughters and my grandson all graduated from Tokay. So when we don't have favorites, but Tokay is very near and dear to our hearts. The shirts, like my colleagues pointed out, fantastic. Anytime you do something that's puts you number 2 in the region and 17th in the state, that's something to be positive, real proud of. No small accomplishment. Way to go. Enjoy this, and thank you for coming here and sharing with us. Much appreciated.
Yes, I will wrap it up. So let's turn around and let's wave to the teachers that helped us through elementary and high school and say thank you. And preschool. Yay! Okay, come on back.
Question, did you all go to preschool?
They're all oohing and ahhing how big you've gotten.
They all went to preschool.
So first I'd like to say thank you, and I'd like to thank Dr. Cox and Jeff, Mr. Smith. I know several years ago when I was finishing my rank for 2 years, I patiently dropped breadcrumbs to Jeff, and he said, if I get Dr. Cox, you'll get them both. And so I know they won't look me in the eye right now because it's a tremendous amount of work, but thank you for taking on an endeavor from Ms. Rashida and myself. It was near and dear to both our hearts. We had a soft spot for Turkey, but we also had a soft spot for Lodi High and all the other schools because they're what made it fun. A little rivalry, a little competition. And it was fun because you knew you were going to see them either in college or down the road, and Science Olympiad is a great icebreaker and you get a lot of conversations. I also want to congratulate you on sticking with it. COVID's tough. It was tough for everybody, so the fact that you even showed up and wanted to do it was fantastic. You know, hats off to you. The other advice I would give to everybody that's listening is if your child's involved in an extracurricular, hey, step up and coach an event. It's the only time where you get to meet 4 of their friends, spend qualified time, and you get all the dirt. Not to mention you learn another subject. You actually get to interact other than clean your room and what time will you be home. And it's important because you get to learn a lot about your child and other students and what they're going through. And during these times, connecting with a student of any type, whether it's yours or not, is valuable for our district. So parents, if you have an extra hour a week, sometimes it's not an hour a week, sometimes it's simple as a Zoom call where everybody does what they need to do while you're studying. So I won't preach anymore, but parents, these things happen because parents step up. Teachers have a full plate, we all know it. Parents have a full plate, we all know it. Students have a full plate, we all know it. So if everybody gives a little bit, it's amazing what we can do. So hats off to you, congratulations. And you can sit and stay and watch all the festivities, or you also can exit the building. It's your choice. Okay, we're moving back to comments from the public. If anybody wants to move up, those chairs are now available if anyone would like to sit. Should we do it? Do you want us to do the proclamation first and then go back? I think we need to go back.
Can I fill them with all the posters from the teachers that are not hired? So we have subs in seats now?
Are we going to do, should we do the proclamation first? Okay. So moving on to public comments. Anybody that would like to occupy their seat, you're more than welcome to. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not... Thank you. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. The board cannot engage in dialogue about public comments because of restrictions placed by the California Brown Act. So I'll go through the buzzer one more time. We do it every meeting. Solid green, you have 1 to 2 minutes left. Flashing green, you have 1 minute. When it turns orange, you have 30 seconds. And the red light, while it beeps, means your time's up. We have 9? We have 9. We're going to go 3 minutes, and we'll see how many we get through. If someone is under 3 minutes, then we'll have a little bit more time. So the first person up is Michelle Ono, and then next up is Jamie Assot and Lana Gentry. So if we can kind of start congregating on the side so we don't burn our time clock, I would appreciate that. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi. Hello again. Good evening, President McFarland, Dr. Washer, members of the board. I'd like to take a moment of your time tonight to share some information and thoughts on behalf of the speech-language pathologists. I'd like to reiterate that we really appreciate your shared concern and willingness to discuss the district's critical shortage of speech-language pathologists. As you know, we currently have 13 open positions that are being filled by contracted employees, both in-person and teletherapists. SLPs are licensed and credentialed in the state of California, and most of our district SLPs also hold the national certification known as the Certificate of Clinical Competence, also known as our Cs. BCS, we have SLP-CCC after our name. Some of our many roles and responsibilities include prevention, assessment, intervention, data collection and analysis, and compliance. So for prevention, SLPs play a critical role in the efforts of schools to prevent academic failure. Early speech and language deficits are often correlated with reading and writing difficulties later. SLPs play an integral role in the MTSS model. SLPs collaborate with classroom teachers and staff, including reading specialists, on how to support speech and language skills in the classroom setting, helping to prevent and reduce the referrals to special education. We also develop strong relationships with students and parents and are able to advocate for our students who need additional support. LPPA members have reported that contract and teletherapists are ill-equipped to support this MTSS model, and as a result fail to fully support our students and staff. For intervention, SLPs work across all levels, from preschool all the way through high school, and provide legally defensible services to a caseload of 55 students on average. For the full range of communication disorders, including speech sound disorders, language disorders, fluency, and voice disorders. For assessments, SLPs have the expertise to distinguish a language disorder from a cultural or linguistic difference. SLPs can also address the impact of language differences and second language acquisition on student achievement. For compliance, SLPs are responsible for meeting federal and state timelines for assessments and IEPs. We ensure that our speech and language goals are educationally relevant and linked to the Common Core state standards. Our district SLPs have had a strong track record for producing clean IEPs. This is something that we really want to maintain. Our Lodi Unified SLPs love Lodi. We love serving the kids in our community, and we do not want to leave Lodi in order to attain a fair and competitive salary schedule. We're proud to work in our community, and we take pride in the services that we provide and the difference that we make in the lives of our children and our community. We look forward to working together to retain and
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jamie. Can you pronounce your last name? I know I probably butchered it. I apologize.
It's fine. 1 second. Stand up. Can you tell them your name? Bonsoir. Say it one more time. Okay. I'm gonna. And who is your teacher? Okay, I'm gonna give him back his game so I can do mine. There we go. All right. You're good. My name is Jamie Bonsoir, and I am a shareholder at the Kroloff Law Firm in Stockton, and I am also a parent of 2 children in Lodi Unified. I have a daughter who's a kindergartner at John Muir, and this is my son John, who is just turned 4 years. It is. Continue. Go see Mrs. Hunter. Mrs. Hunter is my son's speech language pathologist at John Muir. When my son was 3 years old, we went to his pediatrician appointment, and I was told that his speech was significantly delayed and I need to have him evaluated. Where did they send me? The school district. So Mrs. Hunter evaluated my son and made the decision that he did qualify for speech language services. We then got an IEP in place. You just heard my son tell you his name when I asked him. Last year, when he started speech, he couldn't answer a yes or no question. He has made tremendous progress with Mrs. Hunter that has changed his life entirely. And speech language services change the lives of all of our children. My son is on track to go to kindergarten next year when he turns 5. That would not be possible without a qualified speech language pathologist. My son has had speech language therapy through a variety of different services, a local company in Stockton that I pay out of pocket for since my insurance doesn't cover it. He's had multiple speech pathologists there and has made very little progress. He has also been seen at the University of the Pacific Clinic, which has been fantastic, their Right Care Clinic. However, that is not a credentialed speech language pathologist. The difference in the progress my son has made is astounding. It is critical that our children have services from speech language pathologists that are experienced and who are teaching in our local schools. My son could not participate in distance learning. He has autism. He doesn't pay attention to a screen. He needs one-on-one eye contact. He needs to be in the room with a teacher he is familiar with. He is bonded with Mrs. Hunter, and that is why he's willing to learn from her. There is no way he could receive services from someone else or someone he isn't seeing regularly. So I would encourage you, please give our children what they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kelly Hanston and Deanna McMillan up next.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
My name is Lana Gentry. I'm from Bear Creek High School. Good evening, Dr. Washer, President McFarland, and members of the school board. And Grace. Hi. I'm here to talk about retaining our teachers, our young teachers. I've been a tip mentor for 4 teachers in our district. One has already left education, going to real estate. She said she'd rather sell houses than be in the classroom. Another one's leaving this year, completely just done with education. I hope to keep the other 2. I hope that they'll stay in teaching. All 4 of them have been excellent teachers, excellent teachers. So that's hard. Another thing we need to discuss for keeping our new teachers here, our health benefits are really expensive. I mean, I did before our last meeting, I pulled salary schedules from everyone and I looked at, cell D, this and that, and compared and it's up or down and whatnot. But the big difference here is how much our health benefits cost. Out of my paycheck every month is $1,149 is taken out to pay for my family for insurance. If I went to Sac City, it's 100% paid. That's a $13,000 raise for me. Do you think our newer I'm at the top of the salary scale, and that still hurts because that doesn't mean everything's 100% covered. I'm still paying deductibles and co-pays and everything else. But a young teacher who has 2 children, they would have that taken out of their paycheck. That's just not sustainable. You are not going to keep teachers. Just can't do it. Then we have our open positions. At our site alone, there are 7 open positions all year long. We have a resource teacher, ceramics, 3 English teachers, 3, home ec and math. And at the beginning of the year, on the English one, it was just rotating subs 30 days, 10 days, begging teachers to sub on their prep. We still have 2 sections because 3 teachers took a 120 for one of those English positions. 2 sections are still getting day-to-day subs all year long. People are being paid to grade papers, and people are being paid to write lesson plans for day-to-day subs for those kids. I don't know why their parents aren't here. Okay, so we have a lot of kids. When you're talking about, we have all these posters out here for every position that's open and how many kids impacted. But when you've got 7 full-time teachers out at Bear Creek, and they each have 150 kids only, hopefully, that's a lot of kids that are impacted. And that just has to stop. And then let's go into the teachers I know who are leaving and looking, but you guys don't know yet. There's somebody retiring in our department. I know of other people looking. So that's it, I'm done?
Yes, that's your 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Dr. Washer, Mike. I had so many things that I wanted to talk about, and I just want to say, I love when I'm standing in my office lobby, and the little ones that come in from the public, coming in to see their speech teacher. And if you see them at the beginning of the year, they don't talk to you or anything, they don't smile at you or anything. By the end of the year, you've seen them so many times, and they've been so happy coming in. Our speech pathologists are so important to our district. And I personally know a few of them who are really thinking, making changes because we're not paying them enough. So that's one thing. The second thing, I was given this by one of the preschool teachers. Now we all know that the early years of education, from the years 0 to 5, are the most important years in a child's life. I used to teach at a poverty school where when I started reading to the kids, and I'd ask them, how many of you remember when your mom and dad picked you up and read to you? And they didn't have that experience. I can remember days when I was getting my hair done, and this woman had her little child with her. She's talking to him nonstop, showing him this, showing him that, going on. And I'm going, just be quiet, please be quiet, because I teach 6th grade and they talk all day long. But then I'm thinking, that child is getting so much in their early years just by the experience of having a great mother. And our preschool teachers to so many of our children are those great mothers and fathers to these children. And the idea that we're not going to give them an equitable raise with the rest of our teachers, this teacher has a master's and she's teaching early childhood. She could easily step up and teach it as a regular teacher, but next year we're going to be putting all these teachers as our regular teachers. Why are we going to alienate them now and not pay them properly? Why would we ever? You talk about teamwork and stuff like that. On any team, well, yes, in professional teams we do have the stars and we have the others. Well, why would we create a team like that in Lodi Unified? We want solidarity. We want everyone to be together. And we want to treat people equitably to show that that's what we do in our district. We're equitable. We're fair. What you're talking about, not giving them the cost of living raise or the hopeful little whatever you're going to give us, it's just not right. And you know it's not right when you look on it. You know the right thing, so do it. Second thing I wanted to talk about is these pesky, the trainings that we have to do. I did all mine out of my preps, and I didn't prep because of it. You know, I'm an experienced teacher, so I can get by, but I think about new teachers who truly, when I started teaching, the custodian would have to come and drag me out of my room every night.
There's 2 of you, there's 4 of you, okay. And this is Deanna?
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome. Good evening, board members. My name is Deanna McMullen and I am a state preschool teacher. I'm here to represent the preschool teachers. I'm here tonight to try to understand why the board is excluding preschool teachers from getting our cost of living adjustment. The board has voted for an Iep Grant, which we have started this year, that puts special needs children in our classrooms without additional staff. We will be starting universal preschool next year. Both of these are putting more of a workload on us preschool teachers. We are LEA members. We pay out all the same deductions as the other teachers: insurance, union dues, retirement. We are all affected by the cost of living today: gas, groceries, medical insurance. My understanding is the reason was you gave us raises when you revised our salary schedule to reflect the fact that we all have our BA. I have gave you copies.
They're out.
Okay. Of the salary schedule, highlighted as the base pay. As you can see, we did not get a raise. The base pay is the same. And I would like to add that COLA is not a raise. It is given to you by the state to help us with basic costs. To get an explanation why you are excluding us from our COLA. Again, we are part of LEA, and we preschool teachers matter.
Tori, are you in the audience? Tori, oh, okay. And more sleeves, I think we're going to have time.
Hi, my name is Tori Gallegos. I'm here to represent the preschool teachers. We came out tonight to say we matter. We make a difference in this community. We want the district to see us. We want the district to see that real learning takes place in our classrooms. We want the district to see that our children are kindergarten ready by the time they leave preschool. We want the district to see that what we're doing the same job as TK teachers and SPED teachers, yet we are not on the same salary schedule. We want the district to see that we are a part of LEA and we should not be excluded from a COLA. Are we all experiencing the same struggles? Yes. Are we not? Yet the district refuses to give the lowest paying teachers COLA. This is disheartening and it's unjust. And it's telling us that we don't matter. We just want you to value the preschool program. We are the foundation.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I would like to, my name's Lori Celez. I'm a third grade teacher at Ansel Adams. I also have a grandson that sees a district SLP, so publicly thank you very much. I would like to draw your attention to the signs that one of our teachers has crafted to send the message that these are the teachers that our district is lacking. So this is self-reported, where she just put out the word that if there's a open position at your site, please let me know. This represents 50 unfilled positions. So by unfilled, we mean there's long-term subs, sometimes day-to-day subs, and this is not including the teachers at the high school and middle school level that are working over 100% contracts. That's a greater number. The impact of these empty positions is over 6,000 students. So when you look at it as far as student impact, that's huge. So I'm a primary teacher, I teach third grade, and I just think about not having a consistent, trained teacher teaching students literacy. That's huge. Those kids really need that foundational, and when they're experiencing substitutes over and over, that's very difficult for them. Before the pandemic, I had a chance to work on some policy things for another stakeholder in education, and I just think that all stakeholders in education need to work together to address this. This teacher shortage is nationwide, but let's not make it greater in Lodi. So we talked about the cost of benefits. My teaching partner pays $1,300 in benefits a month. So it's serious. We really need to make this a place to come to, not run from. So my request is to come to the table with us, settle our contracts timely. It shouldn't be a joke of, oh, there's bargaining. Well, it's going to be the same old thing. The attorney shows up and nobody has anything to say and they go home. That's not acceptable. So please come to the table, settle with us, and let's work together to fill these spots. Thank you.
We've exceeded our 20-minute time limit. I apologize, Lisa, but we are at 21 minutes, and so I have a few left. We hope you will join us at our next meeting. We are moving on to recognitions. Mr. Freitas. Really? 3 minutes.
All right, we have a proclamation here tonight. President McFarland has asked me to recite. It's the Lodi Unified School District Proclamation for Administrative Professionals Day. Whereas April 27, 2022 has been designated Administrative Professionals Day, and whereas Administrative Professionals Day is observed annually by the Lodi Unified School District Board of Education to recognize the important contributions of administrative professionals, and whereas the work of administrative professionals requires advanced knowledge and expertise in communications, computer software, office technology, project management, organization, and customer service. And whereas the Lodi Unified School District Board of Education recognized the importance and contributions of highly skilled administrative professionals to the success of office operations. And whereas the Lodi Unified District Board of Education is extremely proud of the district's talented and highly skilled administrative professionals, staff, and officially recognizes and appreciates their hard work and supports their continued professional growth. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lodi Unified Board of Education hereby proclaims April 27, 2022 as Administrative Professionals Day, adopted by the Lodi Unified District Board of Education this 19th day of April 2022, signed Susan McFarland, President of the Board, and Corey Porter, Vice President of the Board. Congratulations, administrative professionals.
Do we have someone to accept the... Oh, Michelle, would you come and accept your proclamation? Yeah, you are. Thank you, Michelle. Any comments from the board or? One comment, Mr. Knapp.
If you ask almost any administrators what makes a good administrator, the answer is certainly going to be a great secretary. I know in my case, when I was athletic director, that made all the difference in the world. So, thank you guys.
I would just like to thank you. I know we call with all kinds of crazy requests and questions, and so as a board member, thank you for all that you do for Dr. Washer and for the board. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, Superintendent's report, Dr. Washer.
Thank you, President McFarland, members of the board. First of all, all of us were very saddened and actually horrified to receive the news from Stockton Unified about their precious student, Alicia, who life was taken so tragically and unexpectedly the other day. And we know that Stockton Unified is grieving, and our hearts and thoughts go out to all of that community. We also know that some in our community are also grieving this loss, as this young lady was connected to some of our students in the Stockton area through sports and through schools that she attended. So we do have counseling services available to those who need it, and we encourage children and adults in our community who are struggling with grief, struggling with this loss, to reach out to a trusted adult or someone at the school site to receive those services. And we certainly share in the sorrow that is happening throughout the nation because of this tragedy. So we are thinking of Stockton Unified and her family and everyone impacted. Hard to go on to something else after that, I apologize, but I do want to acknowledge and recognize one of our teachers, Megan Ward. She is a teacher at Live Oak Elementary School. She has been named Elevate Teacher of the Year. Elevate is a math program that we have over the summer, so congratulations to Megan Ward. This is quite an accomplishment because there are many, many teachers, not just in Lodi Unified, who are working on the Elevate program, and they have recognized her for her outstanding work and service to our students. So congratulations and thank you so much to Megan Ward from Live Oak. She regrets that she was unable to be here to be introduced to you, and thank you for the recognition, but I do have something that she said that she'd like to share. She says that her favorite part about teaching Elevate is having students come to me at the beginning with low confidence in their math skills, and in a few short weeks seeing the improvement in the growth and confidence that they have. So thank you so much to Megan Moore. We have another picture for you. Krista McCullough Middle School Choir attended the first California Music Educators Association Festival in the school's history and scored a superior rating from the judges. That is quite an accomplishment. Congratulations and thank you to music teacher Eric Fonzie. He says, it's been an incredible journey. 10 brave kids on a big stage who have never sung in a choir before this year have pulled off something most programs work toward for years. Krista's Wind Ensemble and Advanced Orchestra groups will have their chance on April 30th at competition, and all groups will compete in San Jose on May 14th. So thank you so much to Eric Fonzie for giving these experiences to our young students. Remind everybody that our art show in partnership with the Got Kids Foundation is this Saturday. It will be held at the museum at Mickey Grove Park from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock with the reception afterwards for the awards ceremony. So please, if you can, stop by to see the art. There's just some incredible pieces of art as usual. Huge thank you to our high school art teachers for participating in this each year and for teaching our students the joy of art and giving them a chance to shine and show off their talents for us. So hope you can join us.
President Party.
Yes.
Dr. Washer, this tragic loss with Stockton Unified at Stagg High School, is there anything our district can do to assist Stockton Unified? Because I would encourage that if we have counseling that we can make available to assist them, or anything that we could do, I'm sure the board would be in favor of doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. Members of the board, we certainly can reach out and see if there are any needs. It is not uncommon for districts to share resources on something like this.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Washer.
Dr. Washer, I believe that the student attended a call practice.
Thank you. I also wanted to mention that it's Norcal STEM Festival at Tokay. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
On Saturday, I don't just...
Same day.
Same day.
So go to the art festival and then come. Go to the science festival
and you
come
can do
over to the art.
both. Great. Student reps, you're winding down your year. Who wants to go first, Grace or Brittany?
I'll take the stage if that's okay with Grace.
Thank you.
Thank you, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer. First off, it is our prom week. We have prom this Saturday. We're hosting our Lodi prom in the quad, so that's a new area that has just been built. We are looking all forward to it. It's a Christmas masquerade for our juniors and seniors, so that is very exciting. Last week we had a blood drive. It was a huge success. We have 43 units of blood donated for the American Red Cross. We also had our Powder Puff game last Friday. Juniors and seniors. Seniors won, not a surprise. We had a full crowd. Stages were packed. It was awesome. It was very exciting and fun to watch and play. Upcoming events, we have a basketball game for the Unified Basketball League on the 28th. Hopefully students can join. And Lodi High, Love Lodi is coming up, so Lodi High is an event is a place for the event. We're having a campus beautification, so students can sign up online to join and be a part of some voluntary community service. That's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any comments from the board? It's quiet tonight. You're right.
Well, hello, President McFarland, Dr. Washer, members of the board. Student life is pretty good right now at Bear Creek. Powder Puff practices just started. You'll find we are having a lot of the same events this quarter. It's a very traditional type of quarter. We have a blood drive next week. We also just opened student government applications, and that deadline is this Friday. Our prom was a huge success. We sold, I think, 471 or 475 tickets, and everyone fit just fine into the women's club here at Lodi on West Pine Street. We have a Make-A-Wish talent show on April 27th, and FFA program will also be holding a talent show that week. The AV program raised $500 to help the World Central Kitchen, so congratulations to them, and thank you so much for raising that money. Also a huge congratulations to the FFA program, whose pest management team placed second at the Lodi Field Day. And congratulations on all students to finishing state testing. I also have a few more congratulations to two Bruins, Daniel Anderson and Lee Nguyen, who won in the district-wide art show at the SJC Historical Museum, the Call to Artists 2022 art show. And good luck to Casey Ryan, Jordan Wayland, and Asiri Placencia, who will be competing this weekend in the state speech and debate tournament. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of all things you said, the thing that I loved the most was that, well, it's been a pretty traditional quarter. Who would have thought last several years, that would have been a big deal? So, but anyway, I think it's a big deal.
I think so too. It's pretty nice that everything's returning to normal, and I'm sure there'll be an even normaler next year when everything really gets kicking.
We hope. Any other board comments? Thank you both. I hope you can stick around a while. I know you probably are getting ready for the end of the year finals and papers and everything that are due, so as long as you can stay, we'd appreciate it. Dr. Washer?
You know, I have a question, and I ask it every time. I think there was still some uncertainty about where our student reps are going to school next year.
I'm also going to put the pressure on right now.
Well, I'm visiting Fullerton next week to.
See, I was right. There was still some undecision.
There is still. I have till May 1st, and I will be using all that time to make a decision. I am trying to decide mainly between Fullerton and Boston Conservatory now, and honestly, it all comes down to the money and to the scholarships and all that. So, yeah.
I have made my decision. Go Wildcats. I'll be joining Chico State in the fall of 2022. I was just commenting to Mr. Freitas that I just completed coming into the school and filling out my housing application. It just gets more real by the second. But yeah, I'm really happy that I finally know where I'm headed. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, I can't say enough. Getting there isn't half the fun, it's all the fun. So be sure to enjoy every minute of this.
And study. Dr. Washer, is there any rule that would prevent me from moving consent agenda B, student discipline cases, since we have a family waiting, above consent agenda A?
Completely up to the board.
Does anyone have a problem? Okay, let's move up for consent agenda A, student discipline cases. We have 8 cases in front of us. Do we have any public comments? I understand there's a parent, yes.
Just go do your best, baby.
Do you want to join, do you want to go with them, Kelly?
Okay, come on, yeah.
Welcome.
Good evening, President McFarland, Dr. Washer, members of the board. We have a student here representing case number 21-22-6-75. Take your name.
My name is Adrian.
Adrian, what grade are you in?
6th.
That's a really important grade, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the board what happened to you this year? You know it's kind of tough, but you know. No one's got your friend.
Kelly, would Adrian be more comfortable coming up closer?
You want to come closer and just talk to them like people? No, I think that this would be a good barrier. And then tell them a little bit about your friend and how hard this year has been for you.
Adrian lost his best friend this year. And so he had a bit of anger and built up, and he had a fight, so he's here because he might be expelled. We're just here to ask if you guys could help him, give him a chance. Tell him what you tell him. It's okay. He never experienced something like this before, so he knows he made a mistake. He just wants a chance to be able to still have his future and not be pushed to a one school or something.
I know his teacher, and he talked to me a little bit about this, and he feels that if the whole class had, because the other student that he had to fight with is in his class, that if there'd been some more intervention, some more counseling for everyone, this kid wouldn't have been picking at him and picking at him and picking at him until a fight eventually came. This is, 11 to 12 is a very important year of a child's life. Something traumatic like this happening and not receiving the support that he needed. He didn't make the best choice, but you clearly see he's upset about it and he would like another chance. So Adrian, just tell them that you're sorry. And please let me continue. He loves Mr. John. He's out of grade 6th grade. That Park Lane was just my first school that I went to. That I taught at. I taught science a long time.
He's been out on, he's only doing distant learning right now. He really wants to be involved in the school, everything they're doing, and this is an important year for him. I just don't want it to be messed up for a mistake he made. Because he was grieving, never been through something like this.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being brave enough to come and talk to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Board, do you have any comments?
No? Thank you.
No comments, Board? Thank you.
Mr. Dosti, what was the number again?
The last one.
-6-75 should be the last one.
Thank you.
Okay, no board comments. Do I have a motion and a second on,
On the motion, I would like to have us approve 68 through 74 and go back into closed session and discuss 75 now that we have parent comment.
is that acceptable for us, or do we need to go back in and discuss?
It's up to you. You can approve the others or you can do it all.
Okay, so are you motioning?
I'll second that then.
Okay. So you're
All-
motioning 1 through 7? B 1 through 7? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Item B 1
I'm
through.
at the other end, yes,
Yeah,
1
okay.
through 7.
And we are not voting on B 8.
B8.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. I'm going to call for the vote.
Who was the second?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Heberly motioned and Mr. Knack said second.
Well, I got logged out again.
So while Mr. Knackstead is voting, I just want to be clear that we have not made a decision. We will go back into closed session at the end of our board meeting and discuss it and then come out and report.
You will come out and vote.
We will come out and vote and then the vote will be recorded.
So this is just on 1 through 7?
This is just on
Can I get an oral say?
1 through 7. He's logging back in. We're going to give Mr. Knackstead a minute.
Click on the button.
Box covers 1 through 8. It says all student discipline case.
Well, because we've addressed it publicly.
Good catch.
I just want to make sure.
I dropped it down.
Michelle, you got them.
Is it going to vote because Mr. Neely is not here? Should we do a verbal?
Go ahead, do a roll.
Okay, let's do a verbal. Mr. Nava?
Yes.
Mr. Knackstead?
Aye.
Mr. Porter?
Aye.
Mr. Heberly?
Aye.
Mr. Freitas?
Aye.
And I am also an aye, so that is a 6-0 with 1 absentee. And consent agenda A, items B1 through B7 passes. And we are going, did I say agenda B?
You said 8.
Oh, wait, agenda B, thank you, good catch. And we will go back into closed session at the end of our meeting on item B8.
I'm not going to.
Pardon?
I'm not going to.
Oh, there it goes, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving backwards, I guess. I feel like we're bouncing tonight. I apologize, everyone. Consent agenda A. Mr. Khan, A1, contract list.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, good God. It's okay. Anybody pulling any consent agendas? Comments from the public?
A7,
Okay.
A11, A12.
7, 11, and 12. Board, any agenda items, or I should say, consent agenda items?
Approve all the others.
Move to approve the other ones by Mr. Knackstead. Mr. Porter, seconds. Call for the vote on the remaining items. 7, 11, and 12 have been pulled. And I apologize, I didn't get the student vote. I did it again. I apologize.
Do you want me to vote now?
Sure.
Great.
I apologize.
It's okay. Aye.
6-0 from the vote. It's a 2-0 on student vote and 1 absent. And all agenda items except the 3 mentioned passed. Lisa, I always got to call you Lisa. I'm looking right at you. Michelle, come on up.
Thank you, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer. On pulling A7, which is the high school graduation requirements, standards of proficiency, I understand that as we see what's written, there have been some changes, and we appreciate the changes, especially to the timeline being definitive. I had one clarifying question on ethnic studies for commencing in the 2026-27 school year and required for the graduating class of 2030 and beyond. says that one semester course in ethnic studies and one semester course in health will replace the 9th grade requirement only. This is not a course that we've approved through the president, if I can ask. It's what's coming in the future, just to clarify.
Correct. Dr.
Thank
Marcia,
you.
do you have?
It's legal requirement.
Thank you. So we do appreciate the allowing of our high school teachers to ask questions and comments and the changes on, especially the 9th grade class section of this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do you want to just wait right there and we'll take our vote then? Okay. A motion and a second. Mr. Connexon motioned. Mr. Heberly second. Call for the vote. Student vote first.
Aye.
Yes. Great. Board vote. I know, I'm looking right at you and I still do it. I apologize. Board approves 6-0 with 1 absent. Thank you. Michelle, A11.
Thank you, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer, and public. I asked to pull A11, which is expanding the preschool, applying for a grant to expand preschool full-time. And I'd like all my preschool teachers that are still here to stand up. As we're talking about expanding and applying, we really need to respect the job that they do and include them in the conversations. We're a bit disturbed by the imbalance on the task force that is set up. We do not have preschool and TK teachers represented on each of the subcommittees that are working, and their voice is important. If you would have seen what happened before this board meeting as they collectively came to talk to you about their issue of not being given COLA, they were strategizing how to make ends meet. How many puzzle pieces do you have for this puzzle? Do you have 4 out of 5? Do you have 2 out of 3? Okay, so if I give you my 2 that I have left, I'll have a full puzzle for my class. They're over here bartering their materials, and we're talking expanding and applying for this grant. We really need to get our act together and communicate, and we need a preschool teacher on that task force for each of those subcommittees. Their voice is important. We also need to include special ed preschool, other than just one voice on that. It is out of balance, and I think the task force is important, and it's thinking forward, but you don't have all the rooms included. It is mainly administrators. Please look at the list, and as we apply for this grant, you need their voices in that room. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Porter, for the motion. Thank you, Mr. Knackstead, for the second. Call for the student vote. I'm like paranoid about missing it. Yes. Yes?
Yeah.
Thank you. Board vote? Board approves 6-0 with 1 absent. A12.
Thank you again, President McFarland. This is the quarterly report for the Williams and Valenzuela complaints. I did send an email ahead. They're on the document. I don't know if Michael can open it. There is still one unresolved situation. I asked what that was. I still don't know. I'd like to know what the unresolved complaint is, if that can be heard in public.
Thank you. Michael, did you get that email?
We have somebody, Mr. McGregor is not here tonight, but Mr. Young is.
Mr. Young is, okay.
President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer, this is a carryover. This is specifically a uniform complaint was brought forward by a constituent that spoke specifically to their belief that the mask mandates should not be enforced, that should be a parent decision. Aisha Bryce did respond to that uniform complaint. That is the specific reason why that area did not pass in that quarterly. So it's a carryover because of that specific issue. but that response has been given to the parent at this point, or excuse me, the constituent in response to that.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Move to approve. Mr. Connect said motion. And Mr. Heberly seconds. I'd like to call for student vote.
Aye.
Yes. Great. And board vote. I like it when your computer's down instead of one of ours.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like we should have some witty music playing right now. No? Okay, never mind. Up next will be Mr. Khan.
I apologize. It does show that it.
We'll do a verbal
Well,
vote.
I can see the results. I can see the results all the way. It's just the display machine that's having trouble at the moment.
Okay, so let's do a verbal vote. Do you have a problem with that?
Just tell us what the
Take
vote
it,
is. Well,
okay.
I can see it. I can see it as a
He has the vote, but
Needs to be public.
it needs to be public. So, Mr. Nava.
Aye.
Mr. Connexted. Mr. Porter. Mr. Heberly. Mr. Freitas. And I'm also an aye. That would be 6-0. Passes with one absentee. Moving on to Mr. Khan. Oh, other action items. OAI1.
Thank you, President McFarland, members of the board, and Dr. Washer. Before the board under OAI1 is the standard AB 1200 public disclosure document for the tentative agreement that follows. This document indicates that the first year annual cost of the CSEA bargaining agreement negotiation would result in an additional $4,026,000. And this item satisfies both AB 1200 requirements as well as Government Code 3547.5 public disclosure requirements. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Board, any comments? Public comments? Student comments? Motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Heberly motions and Mr. Porter seconded. I'd like to call for student vote.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Board vote.
You may need to do roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't even see that. Oh, okay.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. Mr. Connexted. Mr. Porter. Mr. Heberly. Mr. Freitas. Board vote is 6-0 with one absent. It passes, I apologize. OAI2, Mr. McKilligan.
Madam President, this is the tentative agreement before you for your approval.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any public comments? Student comments? I need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, so Mr. Porter's motioning and Mr. Heberly is second. Student vote. Oh, I'm sorry.
President McFarland.
Yes.
One of our best had a feeling she's retiring. We had the deal that she wasn't going to go till I went. So I think she broke that promise to me. And I tell you what, I greatly enjoyed having her as a principal at one of my schools.
That's not personnel, sir. That's not personnel.
What?
We're one ahead of you. He just got really
I withdraw all
excited.
those comments. Maybe she isn't even retiring.
Okay, we'll go to student vote. We'll come back to you, Mr. Freitas.
Aye. Aye.
Board vote. We're going to do a verbal again, Mr. Nava.
Aye.
Mr. Connexted. Oh,
Aye.
sorry. Mr. Porter. Mr. Heberly. Mr. Freitas.
Aye.
Passes
Aye,
6-0
aye,
with
aye.
one absence. Mr. McKilligan.
Madam President, routine personnel matters are presented for your consideration.
Thank you.
President McFarland.
Mr. Freitas.
Seems like I heard somewhere, a little bird told me that. One of our best principals, and they're all great, but this one is especially dear to me because she's been my principal at Mosier since I've taken over the board, and that's Patty Kuhn. She's turned in her resignation at the completion of this school year. I cannot thank her enough for the great job she's done at Mosier for the families and kids there, and how much she's helped me develop as a board member and teach me about what excellence looks like. So regretfully, I will move to approve personnel matters.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. Second?
Second.
Mr. Connexted. Any comments from the public? Not yet. Comments from the public?
Thank you, President McFarland. As you look over the document, I do see several retirements. We do see 11 resignations. As you heard tonight, about 50 unfilled positions. We're looking at 10 more positions to fill. And we really need to be cognizant of how many are leaving and finding out why and what we can do better to keep them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Orley. Council vote, student vote.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, board vote. Mr. Nava.
Aye.
Mr. Connexted.
Aye.
Mr. Porter.
Aye.
Mr. Heberly.
Aye.
Mr. Freitas.
Aye.
Board passes 6-0 with 1 absent. Reports. Dr. Saleh. Do we have a map on this?
Good evening, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer. I presented briefly in November on this topic when we had just learned of the new funding stream, ELOP for program, while we were operating under ELOG for grant. And so adding to all the confusion, they keep naming things similarly. But we are receiving additional funding to expand our student services for after school and outside the normal calendar year. Jose Maciel is our program director for our program coordinator for our programs after school and outside the normal calendar year. And we have an executive summary prepared for you. Jose has also prepared a very lengthy slideshow, which we won't be going through in detail unless you have specific questions. So hopefully you've had a chance to review it. But we are looking at expanding our services to students, which is the good news. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Maciel.
President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer. I'm not sure if the PowerPoint will go up, but I'll be happy to provide a detailed description of what we're proposing today.
Which one is it? The 4 that we have. Is it ELA program executive summary?
We can go to the executive summary.
All right, thank you. Because I can look at it.
Yeah. Great. Well, our report today will show the details to the work our department has accomplished in the last couple of months as it relates to the program and funding stipulations associated with the new expanded learning program, also known as ELOP. The executive summary highlights our program proposal to help reach compliance, program design, maximizing funding, and details to help ensure that what we provide meets state requirements for ELOP. It is the intent of the ELOP legislation to provide ongoing funding for after-school, summer, intersession programs that focus on developing the academic needs of students, the social-emotional, and physical development of students for grades TK to 6. And so this is very specifically earmarked for grade levels TK6 and for after-school expanded learning services, intersession, and summer school. One of the things that I'd like to draw your attention to is the first item in the executive summary, which highlights the legislation for expanded learning programs. The program will provide ongoing funding for after-school, summer, intersession programs, developing students' academic and social-emotional needs for grades TK through 6. The program design that we have in place and what we're proposing is to create structures for smaller group settings to allow for personalized learning, build on student relationships, provide opportunities for mentoring, and creating opportunities for family involvement, providing a space for families to join us in the expanded learning program where we get the opportunity to showcase the work that we're doing and have parents participate in collaborative learning activities with students. And so these will be involved as part of our family nights, family engagement days, carnivals, and other activities that will be planned for enriching the students' lives. Our program must also provide no less than 9 hours of programming a day when combined with in-person instruction, and 9 hours during the intersession and the summer blocks. And so what this entails is during the 180 school days, students will attend school for approximately 6 hours a day, and then we would have to provide expanded learning programs for the remaining 3 to combine no less than 9 hours total. At the moment, we are currently providing 10 hours of programming when you include what we offer in the Bridge program and the regular school day combined. And so we certainly will be meeting the needs for this funding as we are currently providing services in the district. The new program design will incorporate summer and intersession, and that's not something that we have systematically done district-wide. This will open and give us an opportunity to do so, and so we plan to take full advantage of that. As we are proposing, our current program design will allow for 30 non-instructional days of expanded learning program for a combined 9 hours a day. This will take a large infrastructure of staff to make this happen, and we do have a plan for everything that we're talking about today. The current program, as we speak, will grow by 50%. That is our goal, and that is what we are intending to do with this proposal. Our funding will grow from year to year. It is intended to be ongoing, and it is subject to change from year to year based on the governor's budget. And so that is something that we are preparing ourselves as we plan for our program, and we strategically grow to build an infrastructure to house what we are proposing. In addition to that, our program is also proposing to expand after-school programs and make it free to participating students in 9 current elementary schools that offer a fee-based after-school program. And this is the first time that we are offering such a feature with after-school programs. In addition to that, we are proposing an increase of staffing. We are planning to reorganize some of our current staffing that is contracted to work 6 hours. We have full intentions to expand their contracted hours to 8 hours to encompass the full day, targeting TK students being dismissed at noon and working up until 6 p.m. Every day. In addition to that, what we're being tasked and what I'm going to be asking of you today, EOP funding stipulates a board-approved program plan. And that is something that I have prepared for you so that you can review. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to go over at this time. But this plan describes the activities that support the whole child, including details required for program elements as how we're going to incorporate the regular school day into the after-school setting, staff training, community collaboration with partners, fiscal accountability, data collection to support the implementation of the ELOP program across 37 school sites in the district. And it is our goal to start at the beginning of the next school year. It is a very ambitious goal, but it is something that we are preparing for with a plan, and we plan to execute our plan in phases. And I know there's a staffing shortage that is very apparent and undeniable, and it is something that I am prepared to take it day by day and in phases as we incorporate the growth of our program into an after-school setting, before school, intersession, and the summer. And so what you're looking now on the screen is an organizational chart of what is being proposed and the infrastructure that is necessary to fulfill the program that has been designed to expand after-school, summer, and intercession programs across the district for 210 days. That includes 180 school days and 30 non-instructional days. Okay? If you have any questions regarding what has been presented to you, I'll be happy to take at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Connection.
Okay, well, you've actually answered the questions that I wrote down, so it is, I just confirm, this is going to be an ongoing thing from year to year.
That's correct.
Okay, and the state is 100% providing the funds for this new program?
That is correct.
Okay, so that, okay. And where does the staff come from to run it?
Well, we currently have base staffing in the Bridge program, and so the Bridge program will be expanding as part of our EOP proposal. And so we currently have approximately 60% of the staffing that's required to meet this budget.
60%?
About 60 to 70%, yes. And so what our intent is to target our high-need schools. And so where we currently offer an after-school program, we have wait lists of close to a year to 2 years, if not in some schools 3 years. And so we plan to reduce that wait list by increasing staffing and help minimize the wait time that parents are currently on a wait list to get their students to participate in an after-school program. And so we'll be focusing on high-need schools, high-priority schools with a large student demand for after-school services. We will also target Title I schools, and we will target schools that are currently offering a fee-based program. And so this is a district-wide effort to expand after-school services to every school in the district.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea and a good program. My only concern is, in real life, we don't have enough people, and not only Lodi Unified, this is a national trend right now. So as long as you obviously are aware of this, and as long as you have a way to massage that, it's great.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Connexted. Any other questions from the board?
Yes, I do. If you look at the page right above that, you don't have to go to it though, just leave it right there. It says it's TK through 6th. Are we saying it has nothing for secondary, or are we just not seeing it? Because that chart shows high schools.
Right.
So
I can expand on that.
Okay, thank you.
ELOP funding stipulates this additional resource specifically for TK through 6th grade. ACES and LCAP funding allows for expanded learning in the high school setting. Therefore, as you look at this organizational chart, that pretty much defines what the expanded learning department will look like. And so I will be responsible for the high school expanded learning programs currently offered at the 4 comprehensive high schools.
Just different funding source, basically.
It's a different funding source, that is correct.
My next question is, where it shows the schools in red, it says to be determined, but the plan is eventually they will be at those schools, because
that is correct.
Some of those schools already have after-school programs.
Yeah, that is correct. There is currently an after-school program where those school sites are in red, but there's a fee-based. Parents are paying for this program. And so what we're proposing is to eliminate all fees associated with after-school programs, and we will be reimbursing all students, or essentially we will be providing the after-school program instead of the fee-based. And so we will cover all costs for students.
Okay, so that's why I was kind of curious as to why is it in red if they've already have Bridge? Is it because we need to have not the current Bridge employees, we need to mix them with our employees?
So the programs that are listed in red are not the Bridge program. The Bridge program falls under the ACES grant, and that is primarily for Title I school sites that have high free and reduced lunch percentages. The schools in red don't qualify for the ACES program, and therefore we do not have a Bridge funded program at that site. And so the program that's currently there is being offered by a community-based partner at a fee.
Rec and, yeah.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Porter.
Yeah. So, Mr. Maciel, thank you for your presentation. Very ambitious. I just have a couple questions. First of all, looking at your flow chart, this is just a general question, okay? So I'll start from my bottom and work my way up. How about custodial?
Custodial falls under maintenance and operations.
No, I understand that, but you're going to have extra custodial, won't you? Extra time, because these after-school programs will get in the way of...
We currently offer after-school programs at all these sites.
I know. Are we going to be adding on additional custodial, because we're adding more students, is that correct?
Sure, if that is something that you wish to add, that is something that we will certainly consider and add to the plan.
Well, I think if we're having more students, we're having more bathroom use, more classroom use, we would obviously want to be looking at custodial, which would be a cost as well. The other thing that I noticed is you have a lot of pairs for here listed.
Yeah.
Both in your one side, which is ELO, and the other side, which is the Axis, is that correct? Funding?
ACES.
ACES, thank you. Do we have those pairs already?
We do have paras in the district. I don't have them identified yet, but we have a large percentage of our paras work a 0.75, and so we would offer them an additional 2 hours to fulfill the requests and the needs for the after-school program.
I was under the impression after our last LCAP meeting that we were moving towards paras full-time. Is that not happening now?
And so it is happening with my program in regards to what we offer our paras.
Your paras will be full-time?
My paras will be working one contract at 0.75, which is during the regular school day. Their second contract will be 0.25, which would equate for the work that they provide in my program.
But does that give them full-time status?
It does.
With health benefit?
That does.
I just want a clarification on that.
It's a full 1.0 para.
Okay, thank you for that. My other question for you was, you're doing summer school now at the 4 comprehensive high schools?
I am doing summer school at 2 hosting sites, and it is district-wide for all high school students.
And how is recruitment going?
Recruitment for teachers or students?
Teachers.
Teachers. We've had our first set of interviews last week, and our second posting closed on Friday, and I think we will have the teachers on board that we need to meet the student demand.
And what's your class size to teacher ratio?
46.
Expected? 46 to 1?
That's correct, and so that is our past practice.
All right, as I move into this,
so I can explain a rationale behind that.
I know where you're going to go. You're going to say you expect a high dropout rate.
Correct.
Yeah. So 38 years, I taught summer school.
Okay.
I know where it's going. You said you had a waiting list of 3 years. Could you explain that to me at some schools?
So I can explain one school in particular, Heritage Elementary.
Right.
And so Heritage Elementary After School Program, which is funded through the Bridge Program, currently has a cutoff of 82 students. We are funded for approximately 82 students at a ratio of 1 to 20 at each school. And so that's what the ACES funding currently provides. And so when you have a demand of 200 families inquiring about the Bridge Program, it really sets a limit to the scope and the service that we can provide through ACES funding. So ELOP is intended to supplement that funding and increase the ceiling or the limitations that we have with ACES. And so, for example, at Heritage, we can now potentially service 120 students because we're able to afford 2 additional staff members being paid through the ELOP funding grant.
Okay. My next question, I'm sorry, is, because we talked a lot during LCAP, and then we're talking again tonight about staffing. And I brought up custodial because it seems to be an afterthought, which bothers me. Is that what types of things do you see, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, to attract more people to become involved in these programs? What types of things are you going to be offering to attract people to do these programs? To fill, I think you said you have I'm sorry, I'm going up here a little bit, 288 staff you need?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what types of things are you going to be doing to attract, since we have a shortage?
Sure.
We know that it's nationwide, we have all the buzzwords to fill, but we're going to need to attract people. What are we going to do?
Okay. I run a great program.
I've never seen you do.
And one of the things that our staff are really prideful of is being supported in the ways that we support them with staff development, what we do to get in an after-school setting, to provide them the material supplies that they need to run. We target a lot of college students in our program. So we go out to University of the Pacific, we go out to Sacramento State, Stanislaus, and we do a lot of outreach and recruitment with these particular programs. We're currently partnering with MESA program for
MESA program?
The MESA program.
What is that now?
It's Mathematical Engineering and Science Association with University of the Pacific.
Okay.
So it's a math-related program.
Thank you.
And so we try to build people up, build capacity within our staff, and we really try to offer a sense of belonging, and it's a culture that we have. And so I invite you and anybody that's willing to visit one of our after-school programs to get a sense of, you know, what is it that we provide in after-school. It's something above and beyond of what a regular school day employee does. And it's a staff member that has really taken on the responsibility to provide a safe learning environment for students. And so I certainly recruit folks to our program through word of mouth. People understand. I oftentimes recruit people out of other school districts to come work for our school district because they know that, you know, they're supported here. Also, incentivizing staff with an 8-hour contract is something that no other school district is doing in the area. And so I'm showing, and I'd like for you to also display the same amount of understanding that, you know, when we do offer those 8-hour contracts, you're going to get a committed employee willing to dedicate, you know, their career to your profession. And so that's what I want to get. I want people to move from their fast food jobs or whatever they're doing. Maybe they're not cut out to work in an assembly line, and they're cut out to work with kids. And so I'm here trying to find those individuals that are meant to work with kids. And that is something, that's an ongoing journey and battle that I'm here to do. And so as the coordinator for after-school programs, I'm constantly recruiting people wherever I go to work, you know, in after-school and trying to find that they're a good fit to work with students. So that's just the limited things that I do, but it comes from the top, and the culture that is established gets carried down to the frontline staff members.
Okay,
And
I'm not questioning that you run a very good program, so please don't think that.
yeah.
I have taught summer school, and I have taught ASP, so I've been a part of those programs. Okay, so just to give you I have a little background in this.
Sure, I'm
a little skin in the game, so to speak. I'm a little concerned about your class sizes, but I get the fact that we do in summer school have a high drop. You notice on your chart here you have SP. SP, that stands for special ed or?
Site specialist.
Site specialist. Now, what does that person do? And are we going to need more pairs? Are we going to need more? Well, you already talked about pairs. Speech language pathologist?
No.
Special ed?
I already have site leads for 27 of those school sites that are listed on that board.
Okay.
And so my proposal is to increase their hours to 8. They currently work a 6-hour day. And so then now they will be working 8 hours, or at least under this proposal, with your approval, they will be working 8
going
hours
to full
a day.
time, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Those are all my questions. Mr. Nava's getting a sigh over here because I can keep going on and on. I do have one last question. And what are the ASP coordinators under LCAP? Those are the people that recruit the teachers at that site. Is that correct?
Is correct.
And set up the programs and
That
so
is
forth?
correct.
And they work under you, that's your...
They work, I do the fiscal accountability for their sites. I review budgets and ensure that they're within compliance of grants.
And that's what you've been doing.
That's
and that's what I worked with as well.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Any other questions?
Just to mention to Jose, excellent job. My gosh, these programs are excellent for beyond the school day. One thing is that you are a professional, and I thank you for the hard work that you do. And again, you talk about numbers and all that. You are the person that, if I need to go see what's happening, I go see you, and you can explain to me what the program is all about, and then let me know what needs to be done and your support from the board you'll have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Novel. And also, I'm sorry, Mr. Freitas. I keep skipping your comment.
Dr. Sally, Jose, I'd like to join in my colleague, Mr. Nava's comments. Over 30% of our district is English learners, and we have to take this very, very seriously and make the changes that are necessary. Like we heard earlier in the meeting, that to get kids reading by 3rd grade and to keep them on that positive track. And this board has been absolutely committed to this, and we've seen our graduation rates rise because of that, our dropout rates decline, our suspension rates decline. And this program is only going to design to help all 3 of those categories and help the accomplishment. So you have my full support. Thank you for the hard work in putting this together. And if there's anything that you need from this board, I will be making sure that it happens. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. I'd also like to say that I'm in support of this. My concern, and you're going to put my fears at ease, I know you will, is that we have, 500 students at every site that want to do this. And then because here at Lodi University we have this giant heart and we want to help students, that we take them all in and then the supervision becomes an issue, or the safety. And so while we need custodians to clean, we also need supervision, because one of the things I'm big on is, are our students safe on our campuses? And I do believe they are. I want to make sure they're safe after hours also. So I think I love everything you've done. I just want to make sure that we have a safety component built in.
Absolutely.
And that we don't overextend, because we don't want to leave any student behind. And I think this is going to be a real ebb and flow, and I know you'll have a handle on it because you're great at what you do. And Dr. Tsai, thank you for letting him do this. You like that? But I appreciate it. I like the base work of it. Now let's see it in action. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Again?
Yeah.
You double dipping?
I'm
Okay.
double dipping a little bit. As we expand learning, is there a way that we're going to do pre and post testing to see if they improve because of this?
We will be, at least in K-8, we will be next year having a new program, IBI Ready, which I believe will give us some really solid data to move forward.
Right.
And it will give us longitudinal data. It is very specific to alignment with standards and grade level. And so I believe with that in place for K-8, we will have that data in reading and in math that will be more of a consistent benchmark. And because it's similar state testing. Everybody takes the same test. iReady is adaptive, but it follows the same sequence, and so it puts the
And
same.
will the board be getting monthly, bi-monthly, I don't know, reports
We will work
on
with,
academic achievement?
we will work with the board and cabinet to determine how we can provide you with the data you need on time.
If we're putting on this program, which I think is incredible, and we're going to have to be bringing in incredible people to work with it, I'd also like to see the data that shows it's working.
Exactly. And I just want to also thank Mr. Maciel. This is a grand plan. It truly is.
It is.
And sort of moonshot thinking, and we may not land there, but we're going to get close.
No, I like it.
And we'll be serving a heck of a lot of students and doing really good work. So
Thank you.
Appreciate your support.
Thank you.
I'd like to address 2 of your questions. As part of the program plan, we did incorporate on page 6 a safe and supportive environment for students, and so that details our efforts as to how we're going to ensure safety for all students during the non-instructional time. Also, on page 15, we've expanded on the continuous quality improvement model, and that's to help identify needs of our program, both academically, and help address student needs, and help put benchmarks in place to measure up to new goals or set new expectations for students. And so this is something that is ongoing and is revisited every year as this plan will continue to be proposed. But I do want to share with you that this is a plan that we're reporting to you today, and this plan will be revisited hopefully in a near and future board meeting for your final approval.
So it'll be data driven?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that this would be the Cadillac of what you want, and as it unfolds, we will get versions of this depending on the ebb and flow of the program?
That is correct.
Okay, so
this is what we aspire to.
I love it.
So that's what we're aspiring to be. This is here, and we are going to grow in phases. It's not going to happen overnight, but this is our ultimate goal of what we're going to be working for.
Great, thank you. I think we have some comments. Michelle, do you want to go first? While you come up, I'm going to ask students, do you have any comments? Nope, you're good. Okay.
Thank you, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Seha, and Jose Maciel. Wow, it is impressive, and when you described it a moment ago as visionary and something that we hope to achieve, I appreciate the detail and the thought in the different parts of this report. I had a couple of questions on the numbers that we're looking at on this page. Now I can't see it from there. Where you talk about the total staff of 8 at Heritage. Is that the current or what you want is 8?
Good question. That is our proposal.
What they want.
What they want. So part of my question is based around on the previous page, it talked about a 50% increase in the bridge program. So when we talk about the 50% increase and the wait list, being one of those sites that had students wait 3 years sometimes, or until their sibling finally became a 6th grader and exited out, they finally got in. Are you talking 50% increase of students of all the sites? Or are we talking, because we're adding the fee-based sites, is that part of the 50% add? Can you break down what that 50% is broken into? Are we increasing all sites? Is the 50% part of that fee-based switch over?
I'll be happy to break it down. So the 50% is the total number that we are currently serving today. So we're serving as a school district approximately 3,000 students through the ACES program. The ELOP funding will increase the number of students we service in a school year. And so at some schools, we may service up to 50% more students because that school has a greater need and demand for after-school services. Another school may not just have that big of a need or desire for kids to stay after school. And so we may not increase at that other school at the same rate. But it is our goal, and it is the goal, to service 50% more students than what we're currently servicing district-wide. And where I get to 288 is if we service 6,000 students a school year in expanded learning, it's going to be at a ratio of 1 to 20 because that is a requirement by the funding stipulations involved with the ELOP program. And so that equals approximately 288 staff members. So that's my math behind these numbers.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And that breakdown is much appreciated. One of the PowerPoint that had more of not just the executive summary, but the breakdown, it talked about expanding the day. But I didn't see anything about, I saw TK, but I didn't see anything about kinder. And with some of the shifts that we have with our school schedules and AM and PM programs, will we be able to service kinder students, say, before their day starts, or kinder students after their day starts? Because I don't think in the Bridge program we do that currently.
We are limited in the services that are being provided. Before school is something that's limited because we already are required to have staff work an 8-hour day. And so we would have to put in like swing shifts if we would have before school services for our staff members. And so mathematically, there's just not enough hours in the day that I can make this work to provide the full. However, we do plan to provide after-school services for TK and kinder students. And at some schools, these services are beginning as early as school dismissal for TK students. So that's roughly around noon.
Okay. Thank you. And I had, I think you answered the question on the wait list. You addressed teachers, counselors, and support staff on the expanded summary. Is that for after-school tutoring? Do they do counseling services in the Bridge program? I've never heard of that.
What we do is we refer students, as we are looking at the student as a whole child, looking at their social emotional needs, there are opportunities where we get to refer students to a counselor. And so we do not personally hire counselors in the after school program or reimburse them for their summer school time, but we do refer them out to counseling services as needed.
So like our own counselors wouldn't be meeting with them, expanding them?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate and look forward to seeing some of this go forward.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome. So, okay. Now I'm sorry. President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Solly, and Mr. Maciel. Okay, so I'm looking at the expanded PowerPoint that was on here, and it says that you're required to use the ELO programs funds to serve only TK and K through 6. But it says that you can use those funds to serve another student grade level, such as middle or high school. And it says in the 2023 school year, it must meet the TK through 6 requirements. But once that requirement is met, an LEA may exceed the requirements and serve additional grade spans and/or provides expanded hours of programming. So I teach middle school. I've only taught middle school. I'm very concerned about middle school students because I know that if they are left to their own devices, they don't always make the right choices. So expanding this to meet the school, to meet middle school, and even some high school is really important to me. And I'd like to know, I know that right now you're just trying to do the TK through 6. I would love to hear you come back and see what you're going to do to expand it beyond this, because I think it's really important. We've already seen a 6th grade student here, which could be considered middle school, and they're going through their own crises, and they need the support. Another thing that you mentioned was MESA. I used to do MESA. I did MESA for probably a decade, and I stopped doing MESA, and I will tell you exactly why. The level of support that I got from this district went down the tubes. The amount of work that I had to do and the compensation no longer was there. The support was no longer there. And the schools that I taught, which were always Title I schools, we needed transportation to get to the events at UOP, and it was never provided by the schools. So you talk about having MESA, I think it's a great program. I would love to see it expanded. But if we're going to do this right, you need to put more money into it. You need to find out what the teachers need who are doing MESA are. You need to look at the schools like Murata. There were 2 of us doing it, MESA at Murata. We both quit because of all of these issues. So you need to go look into that. I would love to see that come back.
at the school, at the middle school. I think that's really, really important. I'd love to see it expanded, again, into elementary more. But if you're not going to support the teachers who are going to do these programs with their compensation, okay, and the support that we need, because we don't always get parent support like Science Olympiad does.
Some schools.
Yeah, then we need to have more into it. Thank you.
I wanted to mention compensation as well. Someone mentioned enticing people. Minimum wage in California for employers with 26 employees or more is $15 an hour. I was talking to someone who worked for Bridge in another site, and she does not make much more than that. If we want to entice people to work for our program, then we need to entice them, and the bottom line is, am I gonna make rent? Am I going to be able to make my car payment? Can I pay for the things that I need to have the job that I want? We need to compensate the employees that we want to have, including the employees that we want to keep, fairly. Additionally, they had to float elementary summer school applications a second time. There was a second round of applications because they didn't get enough the first time. Again, it comes down to compensation. It's been a really long year. For those of us who taught summer school last year, it has been a really long stretch also. This cuts summer down a whole lot more. We need to compensate our employees.
I think we're getting off a little topic. This is the ELO program.
Yes, and this includes summer school. This includes bridge leads. This includes the people that we want to have work for us and want to extend their time. And the way to get them to do that is to pay them. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Good evening, Dr. Washer, Sue McFarland, and members of the board. I did email Dr. Sully several different questions. One I didn't really catch on though. I thought what I was seeing here in this flow chart, like Heritage has been the example, I was under the assumption that we currently have 8 total staff. That's not accurate? Okay, so I guess I was assuming that because they were represented in black and not red, and the new sites where new staff would be needed is listed in red. I also, when you guys talk about staffing and how you're gonna, make this happen, it's a lot of classified support. And when I look at this document on the screen, I primarily think of Bridge, but I also want to touch on the summer sessions and Intersessions for summer school and talking about making paras full-time, not only making them 8 hours, but extending their current work years. ELO funding, like they said, is ongoing. You're going to be offering these summer sessions every summer. So I don't understand why we wouldn't also look at extending their work years. The other thing is not only paras, but if you are going to be offering these programs every summer, what about food service? What about, there's some of these schools between K-6 summer school, between Elevate, between ESY, and ELD summer school. Lots of different programs going on. Every flyer has a different phone number. There's not one place to call to get the information. If we want to spend the dollars and maximize the funds and offer the services, then I would like to see an admin secretary on that list and have one phone number for all summer schools so we can be more efficient and hopefully get the students that we need. The other thing was the account clerk. Dr. Sully responded that that person would be doing very similar things as the account tech. And the difference between an account tech and an account clerk is huge as far as job responsibilities and pay. And if you're going to be having the school sites open and fully staffed, the custodial is going to be an issue. You have to look at when the school is going to be cleaned, how it's going to be cleaned. What is there, 2 weeks before summer school's over? You're not going to get your school cleaned in 2 weeks. Washington has tons and tons of linoleum. They're not going to be stripped and waxed. Carpets are not going to be cleaned in the classrooms. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's not doable. It is. But it's going to take a collaborative effort. The other thing I wanted to touch on too is, like you said, the security. If you have a whole campus open, do we need crossing guards? Because it's going to be much just like it is on a regular day. My head is everywhere when I look at this, a lot of different things, and I just want to bring, you know, we're here at the table. I've been asking for months for more information, so I'm ready to see a plan and how it's going to be implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Des.
Hi, President McFarland, Board, Dr. Washer. I'm Jen Castle and I teach at Tokay. I've been there for many years, Bear Creek before that. And I worked for Jose Maciel, and I was one of his ASP coordinators for the first 5 years of Tokay's after-school program. And I've also worked summer school. But I am here, like the speakers before me, to talk about this Cadillac plan, and I'm impressed. Jose was an awesome boss. I liked working for him a lot. He had a lot of great ideas, and I think his heart was always in the right place about serving our kids, which is why we're all here, right? But that doesn't happen without people. So when Desiree gets up here and says, we need custodial staff, we need food services, we need teachers too, and we need paras, and we need people. The Cadillac is not going to get very far without people. And I just think that that part is missing, and I want to talk to my people on YouTube right now. When you say 46-to-1 as a ratio, okay, I have taught AP classes of 49, 50-to-1. That is not a pretty place to be. I've also taught summer school classes that start out really high like that. And guess what? I know you bank on attrition, but some of them stay high. And I would challenge any of you to go to those summer school sites on the first day and see the line of kids trying to get into summer school classes. These are the people we are here to serve, right? Instead of banking on massive attrition, and what kid would want to put up with that? So no wonder they leave. Instead of banking on that, why not innovate summer school? And I've been up here before asking, and now you have this infusion of money to do it and to do summer school right. So I really challenge, there's so many good thinkers and good people with their hearts in the right place. And I would like to see more outside of the box thinking with these funds, and certainly you're not going to do this without people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do you have enough information from us? Do you have any more questions for the board? Any additional comments? Do we know where we want to go? Are you?
President McFarland, members of the board, we're hearing support from the board. I'm assuming that that's your intent to support.
That's what I'm hearing also.
Thank you.
Okay. We look forward to hearing back from you with additional ideas and plans. Thank you. Mr. Young.
Good evening, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer. Tonight I bring before you a proposal to hire a temporary administrative position to help us with the development and implementation of this rollout of the Universal Preschool TK development district-wide for the 22-23 school year and the 23-24 school year.
Thank you. Board questions?
I don't have any questions, I just support what you want.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. Mr. Freitas?
Ditto.
Any other comments? Mr. Porter?
Mr. Young, I feel that we have people in place that can handle this. I think this proposed temporary position is not necessary. And I think we have better ways to spend our dollars, especially on the students. I know how hard you work, and you have great feelings for all our kids and their education, but you can't, you got to start off at the bottom and building a house. And one of the ways you do that is by having people there in position to do it. Administrative position can come later if we need it, but I think we have people here that can do it. So my feeling on this is we don't need it. I think we need to spend more money on those people who will be working with the students.
Mr. Headley?
Well, it seems like even from previous meetings, the theme continues, and the continue is is that there needs to be positive, hardworking people in positions that can do the service for our kids that we've asked for. When we did LCAP, we continually talked about these things cannot happen without people. And we're right there again tonight. What I don't want is some of the suggestions to be hollow and that, oh yeah, we hear you and we write it down and it doesn't go anywhere. This is an example of there might be a need for this position. Okay, I'm not going to evaluate that yes or no at this moment. But there's also a need for other positions. I have been preaching custodial forever, and points were made about clerical positions, because anytime you add something new to this, there is overhead that has to take place to do different realms of jobs. It's just like in any company or business, you don't really know what the next layer above their responsibilities are. You kind of have an idea, but you don't really know until you're in there. And from my personal example, when I became a battalion chief, we would have captains work up to battalion chief. Almost all of them didn't want any more part of it because of the administrative work that has to be done to keep things running. So I understand your need and want for this position, but kind of echoing what Mr. Porter said, if they're in that position, there has to be somebody that they're supervising that's providing the service. There are points of contact, and that is where the rubber meets the road. I'm an operational person, all this sounds great, but in my head I'm going, it can only work if you have people in those positions. Providing the service, they're the ones that are looking at the eyeballs of the students, okay? To me, you can have all the administrative you want, or you can have all the business supervisors you want, but the success of the program or the business or all that depends on your people. So I don't want that to be lost. So all of those things that were kind of mentioned this evening, Dr. Sully, really kind of take them to heart and see how all of that comes together as a big cog to make something work. I'm sorry it's late, but I'm going to give you one more example. My brother was a pilot for FedEx, and sometimes pilots kind of have an edge to them, you know, they're thinking they're special. Well, the owner of FedEx said, don't ever forget, you have nothing to fly in your planes unless we have those people getting the packages to where they gotta go. So it's all part of that cog, and that's my whole mindset when we talk about success. And when we say success, who's succeeding? The kids. So it seems really simple, but let's not forget the people that are hands-on, eyeball to eyeball, making that work. And I'm going to probably do a leap of faith here and vote for this, but I also want to make sure that we take care of the other positions that have to come with it.
Thank you, Mr. Heatherly. Mr. Nava.
Yeah, Mr. Young, we're talking about the TK startup and the universal preschool. You need a person with some expertise on that position to start this program, and although it's temporary, we get the program started and then we follow on through. I think it's needed. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Connect said.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the same problem a little differently. I agree. I absolutely, if we're going to have a program, you need to have an administration in charge of running the program. I'm assuming we have staff and all the other things people talked about. But I'm looking at this last part. This would be a temporary placement with no guarantee that the individual would return to the previous assignment. Does that mean if he was the principal at Lodi High School, he wouldn't be guaranteed to go back there, or he wouldn't be guaranteed a job?
A certificated employee who works for this district has different credentials.
Right.
When this ended, we would look for a position for which they are credentialed at that point.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming it would be an administrative credential, it would be an administrator.
Not necessarily.
Oh.
The individual could be placed in a position for which their credential applies, whether it's a single subject or a multiple subject. We're not guaranteeing an administrative position.
That might make it a little more difficult for somebody to take that leap of faith for that 2-year temporary job then. I mean, just throwing it out there. Anyway. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I'm
Okay.
I got a little too much administrative.
Okay, I first would like to start off by saying I'm in support of this, but I want us to be very careful when we start to compare administrator versus the hands-on teachers versus the custodian. I'm not advocating for one over the other. I think there's many pieces to the pie that makes a school run or a program run, and you need all the pieces. And so in order to get this up and running, you're actually asking for someone to be the point person, am I not correct?
That is correct.
So in order to get your team on the field, I'm going to use that sports analogy, Mr. Nava, you better condition and you better have somebody following a lead person. We know we have qualified teachers. We know we have qualified custodians. We know we have qualified cafeteria work. I could go through the whole, but somebody has to put that team together and then see it to its fruition. And so when we talk about that, I don't know how you do this without a temporary administrator, because just because you were advocating for one or you're advocating for one doesn't mean we're not advocating for the support staff, the teacher, the ancillary people to not be paid fairly and be respected and all those things. It's not an either or, and I get very frustrated when we move in the direction of, yes, that would be a great option for our district, but somehow we're offending other groups of people. And I wish we could see it as the whole picture, and maybe I'm new to the game and maybe I see it very differently, but I see it as all sides should be able to coexist. I see you moving your mic, Mr. Porter, you go for it. So I don't want me supporting this means that I'm not in favor of getting the most qualified preschool teachers and having them be respected and put in place and all the other people that go with that program. So I get a little frustrated when it's an either or, and maybe that's historically, you're going to correct me right here.
No, not at all.
Go ahead, Mr. Porter.
Just so I clarify my position, because I'm probably in the minority here. Whenever we create an administrative position, be it temporary, they don't go away. Now we have Mrs. Peterson, we have Mr. Young, two highly qualified. We're very lucky to have them, and I think that they can oversee this. I do not see why we have to have another administrative position. I know it says temporary, but my 38 years of teaching, they don't go away. I'll find a spot for them somewhere. But again, I'd rather see us spend our time with the people involved. We have people that can handle this, I feel. Might do a little bit more work under load, but in the end, it's going to overlap into what they do anyway, so they're going to need their advice handling the development of this program. So, I'm happy with the people we have. I think they can handle this.
Rebuttal. While I agree with you, Mr. Porter, I also don't know what Mrs. Peterson and Mr. Young have on their plate. And if they wanted to give me a breakdown and we could analyze them side by side, I would not assume that Mr. Young would bring us something that he thought they could handle internally. I'm assuming that because he's standing at that podium asking us, he has tried to figure out every which way to make this happen before coming and asking for another administrative position. So while I respect what you're saying, I also respect our employees and thinking that they wouldn't be here unless they needed it.
A rebuttal. Again, in my 38 years of being in here at school, when you create an administrative position, they're very difficult to get rid of.
Well, I'll rebuttal you one more time, and it says temporary administrator, so.
I'll find a way to make it full-time.
We shall see. Board, do we have a consensus to send Mr. Young? Let's start with Mr. Nava.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Okay, and this is not an official vote, this is just.
No, just an approval.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have.
It'll be,
This will come to the board.
I'm sorry.
for vote.
It'll come back to the board.
Come back.
Before I move down, I apologize, I didn't even see you standing over there, I apologize. Would you like to ask some questions?
You know, President McFarland, you could also get your people on the track. It doesn't always have to be the field. It could be on the track also.
You want track?
Yes.
I really like swimming best, but I was
Waste
trying
of
to,
time.
I was trying to appeal to
Let's
Mr.
go.
Nava.
Let's go.
Mr. Nava says we're wasting time.
Good evening, President Farland. Again, on this issue, as Mr. Porter just pointed out, we just added the director position to the assistant sup of elementary. It is my understanding from the one meeting was attended on the task force for TK and preschool that both Neil and Susan were in charge of that and working on it. Susan led the meeting, and the flaw that I saw in the system where there were not enough voices from the field to tell what's going on for each of the subcommittees. It was very administrative heavy. When I have members who are not on a salary schedule and they've got a master's degree, and you're talking about adding an administrative position to oversee the setup of this program when we have two very capable, an assistant sup and director to do the job, I think that needs to include more voices from the bargaining units in order to give perspective on this rather than another admin. And if you're talking about internal, who would have those qualifications, then are you taking someone else from the field that would have an expert advice as a member in working with students? So we would not like to see another administrative position added. We would like to see more voices within the task force and the capable admin that are working on the task force continue working on that. I do not believe that our dollars should be spent on another administrative position to oversee this. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Kind of piggybacking off what Mr. Porter said, when positions come, admin positions like this, they never go away. So I can't help but ask, because I am a clerical negotiator, where's the secretary? And also the department that we're talking about I've worked in, I work really closely with them every day. We have one secretary that's assisting Mr. Young and Mrs. Peterson. They've now added another coordinator position that's coming over there, Mrs. Church. The one secretary that they do have is one of the secretaries answering the phone for K-6 summer school. 15,000 students are being invited to that. And then now there's this position. So I don't know how many people one person can assist. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional board comments? So we're looking for direction for Mr. Young.
I support it.
We're looking, do we have support to bring it back? This is a report.
I don't know. It would be a consensus.
It would be a consensus.
So,
Mr. Porter is not interested in it coming back. I'm interested in it coming back. I think
It would come, Ms. McFarland, members of the board, it would come back in the form of a recommendation.
recommendation. Thank you, Ms. Thank you. Communications from employee groups. I would assume we have reports. We're having a standoff.
Slow moving stand.
There you go.
Now the rush.
Now.
Go ahead. No, you go.
No, I didn't see you in the room.
Now we're stalling on our end.
You're just quicker.
President McFarland, Dr. Washer, members of the board. I came in a little bit late. I almost missed my speech and language pathologist, but I caught him by the skin of my teeth. More on that in a moment. I've missed a few board meetings. It is good to be back. LPPA would like to announce that we are holding our scholarships again this year. We have I should say this slowly into the microphone. We are holding two $1,000 scholarships for graduating seniors from Lodi Unified students who are going to fields that are similar to those that are held by LPPA. So we're talking counselors, psychologists, nurses, program specialists. I don't think I forgot anybody, but you never know. So applications are due this Friday. So if you haven't gotten it in yet, get it in soon.
Let your schools know.
Yeah, the schools know. It's been put out to our counselors and our career centers, so jump on that. I'd like to comment on some things that I've noticed over the past couple of months when I haven't been here. I know that we're increasing our numbers of school counselors by about 9. I'd like to thank you for that. It's really important to our unit that we're bringing those services up. Looking forward to working with Aisha Bryce on how to utilize those counselors and what that's going to mean for our members. 3 new school psychologist positions have been added. When I came into this position 3 years ago, that was something I asked for. Our special ed numbers have grown. At that time, our numbers in LPPA had not grown, and they're beginning to grow now, and I want to thank you for the movement in that direction. I also have been informed we have two new school nurses coming in, so all good things. We still, as you heard earlier from our speech and language pathologists, we still have a shortage of speech and language pathologists. I was noticing when I first came in 3 years ago, my very first meeting, that was big and hot on the issue. That was a big topic, and it's still a concern. 14 down, we need to get together and have a conversation about how to attract and retain our speech and language pathologists. We also need to look at our school nurses. Our program specialists are still, in my opinion, stretched quite thin and overworked, and we need to continue to address the needs of those employees. As we go into expanding full-day preschool and kindergarten, we're going to have more students. More students means more services. More services, we're going to need more service providers. So as we're talking about expanding programs, keep in mind that we're going to need to not only include, the face-to-face everyday services for the students, but the special ed services as well. So something I'd like to plant that seed for you. And then finally, we're in negotiations. We're moving forward, meeting with Mike. Still have a long ways to go, but we are making progress, and we'll keep you updated as that goes along. Now, Grace? As you know, I'm a performer, and I performed with Grace in the past, and she's afraid to tell you. This is kind of off the school, but as an extracurricular outside of school, Grace is doing something.
Yes, I'm currently in a show right now. Yes, I'm in a play at Stockton Civic Theater, which is the same theater I did Something Rotten with Dean here at.
Something rotten?
Yes, it was called Something Rotten. It was a musical. Dean, yes, he was in it. Yeah, we were part of the Renaissance in that musical. Yeah, I'm in Skin of Our Teeth right now. It's at Stockton Civic Theater. If you want to go down and see it, if you have any free time, it runs till May 1st. Performances are Thursday to Sunday. This weekend we actually have a 2-show day on Saturday, a matinee and a evening performance because Easter we didn't have one. So yeah, if you're interested, go ahead and look into it.
What's the name of the performance?
Skin of Our Teeth.
I believe her mother has a couple flyers if you're interested. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. She wouldn't speak up for herself, and her mom was like, she needs to say something. So,
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Grace's mom.
Good evening again, President McFarland, members of the board, Dr. Washer, and all the teachers out there. Will you please stand? As we are approaching teacher appreciation and recognition at the beginning of May, they're here because they need you to hear their voice. The teachers that fill this room need you to listen to what they're saying. They have been emailing you, I understand. They have been mailing you. Our students matter. And in order to make a difference in every classroom, you need to have a teacher in every classroom. And as the posters highlighted, some of the 50 teacher unfilled positions in our district where students are being serviced, they're outsourced to, if they're parent, I don't know, I can't imagine being a parent and knowing that my student was being contracted out, that they were not an employee of Lodi Unified, that I would want my child in that class being taught by, I don't know where that person resides. It's just unconscionable to me. And, you know, we do talk about money and we do talk about negotiations and how it's going, and it's not going well in our opinion. With 11 more resignations on tonight's board agenda, we're not retaining our teachers. And the number of phone calls, text messages, and emails that I get on a daily basis asking about, do I sign my intent to return if I have job interviews in other districts? Do I return? My principal made me return it and sign it. I didn't want to. I'm looking at a job somewhere else. What do I do? Those phone calls are too many that we should have. At our bargaining table, we've talked about a raise. We've not had a raise in over 15 years. Wow. We have received COLA, but every year we have had to fight for COLA. We also don't understand why you will not compensate teachers for their professional time. To be told that their professional time is on their prep to do their Keenan videos, of which a kindergarten teacher doesn't have, a TK teacher doesn't have, a preschool teacher doesn't have, yet they're required for their job to sit through hours of these videos. Why can't we find a resolution for that?
Don't worry about it, move on.
Pay does matter. Where we work matters. You've heard time and time again from teachers coming up to this podium tell you the reason I'm staying is my students. My school family make me feel valued. Yet when they tell me I have $34 in my bank account as a teacher to finish out the month and there are still 2 more weeks, what do I do? It's unconscionable. When you look at the summer school application, an application out for our members to apply to through one of the outside vendors, they are offering between $6,100 to $7,350 for the same 19 days that you are offering a Lodi Unified teacher $1,300 this year. You have millions of dollars, yet negotiation-wise, it doesn't seem that you are spending the dollars in order where the governor and the state have said it's important to pay for this extended learning. That pay should go directly to your frontline workers, your teachers, your custodial, your paras that are working with those students those extra time, cleaning up after extra hours. That's a given. How are we going to clean up safely? How are we going to keep campuses safe with this number of children? You need to start really looking at the hard numbers. These extra positions outside are offering more money for your employees to go get a job instead of staying within house. They would be much happier employees doing all of their work for you and their families and their students that they are at their home site with. Please talk about what the proposals are that Leah has offered. This, all of you have had students go off to college. Why don't we have no-till days? They are days that you can grant and say, go for it. I'm sorry, if I need a mental health day because I have been taxed and over and pushed to the limit, and maybe I just need to take a drive to the beach to debrief, but if I travel, I'm then on unpaid time. If somebody reports me, it's a break in service and I lose my early health benefits. But wouldn't you want somebody ready to work every day in the classroom? And you all know writing subplans for classes, no teacher wants to do it. It is 3 times, if not 5 times more work to outline that. There are simple things at the negotiation table that can come forward. And to take a group off out of negotiations, again, is just unconscionable. These students here as reps are examples of the students we have throughout our district. They need a teacher in every classroom, and how do we keep them? And that's fair compensation. It's a competitive wage for summer school intervention for the next year, for the next few years that you have this grant money. Really look at where you're spending your dollars and how can you make sure that someone stays in that classroom and doesn't travel elsewhere. Thank you.
I know I saw Des somewhere. Des, are you speaking?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
I want to thank our student board members for hanging in there and staying with us.
Yeah, I just really, any other comments from board members? Mr. Nava?
Yeah, I have a birthday boy.
Ah.
Saturday, Mr. Porter had a birthday.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You're only 60 now, I know that.
No, I'm 65.
Oh, 65, okay. And I just wanted to make that report.
I thank you for that.
We
And I
can,
do not want to be sung.
why not? Everybody else gets to.
I find it, I honor him, I don't want to. Yeah, you want to, for me, I'm happier if you don't.
Yeah, I'm definitely singing.
No.
I was going to be Mr. Neely.
Mr. Newman, we'll wait for Mr.
Yeah, we'll have George do it, that's great.
Okay, another question for Mr. Porter.
Yes.
We're having a dedication of the McNair Pool.
Yes.
You have an email that you sent me, and it's the 28th or the 20, what is it? The 28th
It's
is...
Thursday the 20th.
Excuse me?
It's Thursday the 20th.
Thursday the 28th.
Yes.
Okay, because you hadn't...
No, I didn't send it. Chelsea sent it.
Oh, Chelsea sent it, so...
And then I talked to Chelsea because it
Okay,
said
so-
Wednesday the 20th.
All right, thank you, that's all I wanted to clear up. It's the 28th because it's Thursday.
Correct.
And yeah, okay, so, see that...
I couldn't do the graphics like that.
No, but anyway, we need to know the exact date because, you know...
Well, you're talking the wrong
commitments.
phone.
No, the
Got
commitments.
tea times.
I know.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Nova. Mr. Connection?
We all received the same report from San Joaquin County Office of Education, and just for the record, I just want to read part of it. The district is projecting to have unrestricted deficit spending for the 22-23 and the 23-24 fiscal year. Therefore, we strongly caution the district to avoid multi-year commitments that could impact the financial stability of the district. And there's a lot more to it, but that's part of what us as a board is facing. The term fiduciary responsibility has been mentioned many times, and that's one of our jobs, is to keep the district solid. We don't make these numbers up. This is a report from San Joaquin County Office of Education, and that was their recommendation. So,
Thank you, Mr. Connection. Mr. Porter?
I want to thank all the teachers for attending this evening, and the paras, and the CSEA people as well. Someone who is, I say it all the time, 38 years of teaching. I work with all of those individuals, and they are the backbone of our school district. And if that's really the area where things happen for our students. And we must do everything we can to support that at that area. Clean classrooms, good education, they come from people. And a child loves to come into a room that looks good and is clean and is nice, a campus that looks good and is updated and ready to go, and a teacher that is energetic and wants to just instill in them this quest for learning that we're all about. So I just want to reinforce that this evening. The idea that we had 50 vacancies at the elementary level this year, I find appalling. And it's almost criminal. Now, again, we could point to COVID, we could point to national trends, but to me, that's all excuses. And it's kind of ironic that Mr. Knaxad brings up, well, we have from the San Joaquin County and the ongoing costs, we might be in trouble. But yet, we gave consensus to an administrative position. We gave consensus to a new coordinator position. What are we doing for the people that have direct contact with our students? I'm talking about our custodial, our security, and so forth. And that's where my concern is. When I came on this board, I had hoped for more collaboration at the sites, making their own decisions on how things occur for those students. And within that collaboration, students being able to get input on how their school is being run. And I think you'd be surprised at how they look at safety, how they look at how they're being educated, how much time they're spending on their Chromebooks. I talked to 3 teachers the other day, and kids are asking for, can I get something in my hand? I'm tired of looking at the screen. So remember, those things are just tools. And the wheel that we work around, the hub, is the teacher. And all that other stuff is assist them in doing their job. The key is doing what's best for our students. So tonight I want to think about collaboration. I want to think about agreeing to disagree and working together so that we have a very productive school district.
I had 2 items I wanted to bring up. One of them was personnel, bring up people, but I've already stood on that soapbox tonight, so I'll just move off to that. But I'm a man of many
talents?
No, many soapboxes. So my next one is, I'm kind of worried about our projected enrollment and how that affects our assigned FTE that goes to our schools. And I'm talking predominantly high school, because it's not to exclude elementary, but I'm looking at high school when the site is squeezed with a smaller number of FTE. One of 2 things, many things happen, but one of 2 things that really impact our students is higher class sizes. I don't ever want to hear that. And the second thing that could happen is that course offerings get diminished. The program can't run because you don't have someone there to run the program. And we have been a number of boards in succession that have been really pro broadening the course offerings for our students. And if we squeeze our FTE for our high schools, those courses now will shrink. We have great courses that we've opened up for kids. A lot of CTE courses and so forth, a lot of exploratory things that maybe they would have never tried before. I don't want us to squeeze those programs back down. So what I am looking for, Dr. Washer, I am looking for our projected enrollment and our projected FTE as it compares to our existing numbers. And that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Freitas.
President McFarland, my heart is broken by the senseless murder of 15-year-old Alicia Lala Renaga. My thoughts and prayers are with her family, her friends, and I know we have a good-natured rivalry between us and Stockton Unified, but our thoughts and prayers are with them and their board and every member of their teacher, every member of their family. And if there's anything that I can do or this board can do to help them through this horrific period, I would like to see our board do that, because this should never happen.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. Hard to follow. I'd like to thank all the teachers and schools that participated in Math Olympiad. I was fortunate enough to go, and Mr. Freitas and Dr. Solly was also there. Adorable faces, wonderful to see them compete. Lots of ribbons were given out, and it was nice to see that type of an event happen again in our district. I also want to move forward with positivity. I don't think that there's one right answer for new programs. I do think you don't have to eliminate one group to be successful with another group. I think it takes people, lots of different types to run a program, and I do believe, Mr. Porter, that you do need a leader in order to run a program. It doesn't mean that, I'm hoping that it doesn't mean, and I'm hoping Mrs. Peterson and Mr. Young prove me correct that this is a temporary position and that they are going to get it up and running, and that it will be successful enough to run by itself, or in the manner in which you see fit. So having said that, any other comments from the board? Dr. Washer?
No, we just need to go back to closed session.
Go back to closed session, correct? Having said that, board advisory committee reports. We're going to Rochambeau. Sir and Houston met. We did our joint committee meeting. Mr. Porter, would you like to add anything?
I thought it was very productive, and I was glad that Mr. Young was there because he's so eloquent and he can handle all crowds so well. And with his definite grace and pearls of wisdom, he was able to educate the people at Joe Cerna. And I believe that we're interviewing for principals this week.
Friday.
This Friday. And I'm glad to be a part of that, and I will be participating. I'm looking forward to that because it's a very crucial part of keeping Joe Cerna, our special charter school, on course.
I will see you Friday. I think that's it. Dr. Washer, do you have anything else to add? Are we good?
We are good, but boy, Neil's going to hear it after this.
Uh-oh. So with the board is heading back to closed session, so do I close out this meeting? And
Do not adjourn.
Do not adjourn.
Back to close.
We will move and come back.
Something like you've never heard. Dr. Washer.
Thank you for staying. They don't need to, they're just going to vote on the student matter, which you don't vote for it anyway, so.
Next, like, next board meeting.
Isn't it?
That was good.
No, isn't it?
There's May 10th and there's the 7th.
And then there's
June board meetings, but I thought it was.
this wasn't your last meeting, was it?
No.
No,
it wasn't. You're going back. No, there's May 10th and then there's May 28th.
There's another one in May. Yeah.
But that's a study session.
There's another one.
Isn't it just May 10th?
Just as an FYI, we're going to invite these young ladies to come back to the next board meeting. Did
Because
you
it was?
realize that this was their last one?
Oh, wow.
We're back.
That's what we were just
discussing.
We're gonna be in May, you're right, we will be in May.
We will invite them to just the beginning.
Okay.
And then they can leave.
Oh, okay. We are taking, let's just go straight to the vote?
Yes. Report out.
Okay, I'm reporting out from the closed session I'm looking for a motion and a second on item B8, expulsion of student.
approve B8.
Mr. Nava's motioned, Mr. Knapp said second. We're going to do a verbal vote. Mr. Knapp said. Mr. Nava.
Aye.
Mr. Porter. Mr. Heatherly.
Aye.
And I am also an aye. I didn't even see you sitting there, Mr. Freitas.
Aye.
6-0, 1 absentee.
I move meeting adjourned.
Thank you, meeting adjourned. I know we gotta, no, we should have been out of here by 9.
No, hey, but, you know, it's before 10 o'clock.
I'm sworn. Wait, I'm 10.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.